All right, this video is my Form 1 read-alouds for this homeschool year 2025-2026. All right, guys, welcome back. I'm Laura Wilkie with Down Home with Lemon Pie, and I'm a Christian stay-at-home homeschool mom of 7, and I am so excited you guys are here. These are the books that we are doing as read-alouds for my Form 1 kiddos. So we do a very Charlotte Mason inspired homeschool routine, and I have my kids divided into forms like a very European Charlotte Mason style. And so my Form 1 kids are my before school has started all the way up to 3rd grade. So this year, that is going to include, I have a set of twins that are going to be in 2nd grade. And then I have my 3-year-old who is going to be turning 4, and occasionally off and on will be joining us. So we have a ton of read-alouds that we're going to be planning for this homeschool year. I think we'll probably be able to get to all of them. I'm pretty confident with that. We do most of these, particularly the chapter books, during bedtime, like right before bedtime, and we do about, sometimes we have church or we have other things, so I would say we about 5 times a week. So I think that we'll be able to get through all of these, if not all of them, most of them. And then I have a little collection of picture books as well. Now the picture books specifically are time period related to our history studies that we are doing with all the kids kind of as a family. These guys not as much, but I wanted to tie it all in together. So that is going to be starting with like the Renaissance time period. So a lot of our picture books are going to be focused on that time period, castles, knights, kings, those kinds of things. So it's absolutely perfect for this age group because you've got princesses, you've got knights, very exciting. And then my read-alouds, I have a lot of classics. We did a ton of books that I had listed that I wanted to get to last year. I already talked about that in my video where I wrapped up all the books that we read for the school year, and I will link that video below if you want to go see what we read this past year. And we got to so many more than I expected, and there were things I found in the middle of the school year, and I just kind of added them in, and we still had time for all of them. So I really feel confident, even though this list is kind of long, I do feel confident that we're probably going to get through this. And again, if you have been a follower of mine for a while, most of these classics we'd like to do at this age the abridged versions, and I have a couple of favorites that I like. I like the Great Illustrated Classics. I like the Classic Starts, and those are kind of my top 2 favorites, but I have a couple others that I use. Most of these also I selected because we already had them. So if you are like a book connoisseur like I am, constantly finding new ones and just putting them on your shelf, but maybe we don't actually read them until a couple years later, that's kind of what I did. I just kind of rated our shelf, but maybe it'll give you guys some great ideas for this age group. So let's get started. Now, most of the, like I said, all of the chapter books I already own, except for maybe one. And then all of the picture books we're going to be getting from the library. And to make sure that I would have them available, I actually drew this list from our library's like search. So I went there and I searched things like Renaissance and kings and knights and castles and those kinds of things, and this age group, and wrote down the ones they had, because last year I made that mistake and I just went strictly off of other recommendations, and then we ended up having a ton of books that we couldn't find, and that was so disappointing. So this year I just started at our library, and I recommend you do that too, but this may give you some things to type in to give you some ideas. Okay, so some of these are also recommended through Ambleside. We do a lot of Ambleside, and the first one is definitely recommended by Ambleside for this age group, and it is The Little Duke. I am excited to read this one because I am not familiar with it at all, but I did read a little bit about it, and I am excited to read it with the kiddos. The next one, actually the next three are ones that I do have the abridged versions. I think they're all classic starts versions, and they are the Three Musketeers, Robin Hood, and King Arthur. I am so excited to dive into this time period with the kids. I think it's going to be super exciting. I know that those three plus the Little Duke are kind of boy heavy, so the next couple are more girl friendly because I didn't mention, but my set of twins are girl boy twins. So I try to kind of tailor it to all of their little interests. And so, Three Musketeers, classic story. And there's even a Disney version, animated version. I'm not a huge fan of Disney, but some of the older stuff I do like. And the Three Musketeers with Mickey Mouse is super cute. So we may do that as a little video to watch with it. I love doing the videos after we read the story, even with this age group. And of course, it would also be appropriate for my youngest as well. Robin Hood, King Arthur. I think Robin Hood and King Arthur also have movies too. So we'll probably look for those. The next one is one that we are super familiar with as a family, but we actually haven't read the story. So I'm excited to bring this in. We have watched the movie, many versions of the movie. We have watched the little kind of animated version of this, and so cute. It's available on Tubi if you're looking for it, but it is Heidi. So adorable. If you've not seen the video series, the little cartoon animated series, it is so stinking adorable and totally worth it. There's one similar of Tom Sawyer. There's one that's similar of Little Women, and they're just a good way to introduce your kids to the classics, but we actually haven't read the book. I do have the full length, and I also have an abridged version of this. I'll probably do the abridged at this time. However, I have been told that the full length has some wonderful, wonderful things. So I'll probably put that on my personal reading list, and we may change our mind and do the full length instead. We'll see. But I've heard that the grandfather actually gets saved, and I thought that would be an awesome accompaniment to the story. So I'll probably try to scope it out first and then see. The next one is The Little Princess. So cute. Again, we've watched the movie, but we haven't read the book, and I do have it in an abridged copy that I happened to find at the thrift store this past year, and we just didn't get to it this past year, so we're going to try and read that one. The next one is Andersen's Fairy Tales. I picked up an awesome copy of that recently off of Thrift Books. If you haven't used Thrift Books, I have a link below where you can get a little discount, and if you want to try it out. But I find most of our books at places like Thrift Books because you can get the used books for an awesome price. And actually, they just finished doing a special deal, and they do these kinds of deals all the time, where they did $2.99 if you found the special deal books. No matter what the price was, it would mark it down to $2.99 if you bought 4 of them. So that was a huge steal. And anyway, the Andersen's Fairy Tales. So we'll probably try to read some of that. I don't know if we'll get through the entire book because it's kind of lengthy, but we'll probably read enough that we feel like we've gotten a good feel for it. And if they're really into it, we'll just continue and do the whole book. I'm okay with that too. Okay, the next two are by the same author, Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane. I've had this on our bookshelf for years, but we have not read it. And it sounds like it's going to be such an adorable story and so relatable for this age group, because basically there's this little bunny. He's made out of china, and I guess he gets lost. And it's his journey of what happens. And I think it really reminds me of the little picture book, The Littlest Matryoshka. I can't even pronounce it right, but the little Russian nesting dolls. I don't know if you've read that, but such a cute story, and kind of a similar one. Also one that I would highly recommend, but we may or may not get to it this year. But I think that's going to be a fun one. The next one is Tales of Despero. Same author. So excited for this one too. The little mouse with his sword is so adorable. his adventures, his journey. I just think they're going to really enjoy it. Okay, the next one I don't own. But when I was searching on our library's little search page, it sounded so charming and so appropriate for this age group. There's apparently a whole series about orphelines, and they are like little orphans and their adventures and things that they do. Kind of reminds me, like it might be similar to Boxcar Children or something like that, but they're orphans. And I mean, well, they are too, but in an orphanage. And they, anyway, this particular book is called Orphelines and the Enchanted Castle. Sounds stinking adorable. It is book 4, but from what I can gather, the series doesn't necessarily have to go in order, kind of like the boxcar. You can pick up here and there and it's fine. So that's what we're going to do. Even if it's not fine, that's what we're going to do. But Orphelines and the Enchanted Castle sounds adorable, so I think we'll try it. The next one is The Little Lame Prince. I'm so excited. I found an awesome copy of this recently from the early 1900s, and I already had it on my list, but when I found that copy, I was like, okay, it's definitely going for this year. And of course it fits with the prince and castles and things. But basically he is a prince. He's handicapped and needs, they end up locking him away, but then there's this like magical carpet that comes and takes him on adventures, and he ends up having a heart for the people in the village, and I think later becomes king. But I think it's going to be one of those that touches our kids' hearts, and I love finding books that touch their hearts. There's a couple on here that in particular stand out for that purpose. So that is that. The next one is the Paddington Bear box set. I recently picked up the box set of 3 books, and I thought, well, this is going to be just so charming for the kids. I have lovely memories of Paddington. They've watched some of the cartoons. The 3-book box set are short, so I think they'll be perfect for us to breeze through, and it'll be a fun little thing that we can, again, watch the show that goes with it, or even the movies. Probably not the newer movies where they have like the CGI and all of that, because I don't think they're as great, but like the old-fashioned ones for sure. The next part is the Thornton Burgess box set. We recently finished reading the Burgess Book of Birds, and I have in our plan for this school year the one about animals, and I think that they'll really be able to relate. I had bought the box set when my oldest is going to 9th grade. When she was in kindergarten, I bought the box set of 6, and we read through those. We will try to read through those again. However, I noticed that my library actually has some others as well. And I saw there was like Mother West Wind and some others. And I think I'm going to try and add those in too, or I may kind of switch some around and do some and not others. I don't know. But I did want to try and get a lot of those in because they're very short, but they're so well done. And they have actual good facts about animals, but they're in a very child-friendly manner and things they can relate to. So I'm excited for that one. The next one is 21 Balloons, one we've had for years on our bookshelf, and I have not read specifically with these guys, and I'm excited to read that with them. The next one is Around the World in 80 Days. There's another, on YouTube, there is a video series that you can watch of Around the World. It's in the very 80s or 90s style animation, but it is well done. It's cute. But I love the story of Around the World in 80 Days, how you kind of have 2 stories where he's trying to get around the world, but there's the people that are following him trying to stop him. And I think it's just so cute and charming. So we will read that again. I have the abridged version for that one, so we will do that. Railway Children. Okay, Railway Children is by Edith Nesbit, and I am loving it. And I say I'm loving it because we already started this one coming for this school year. We already started this one because we needed our next read aloud, so that's the one I picked. And oh my gosh, we're about 4 chapters in, and it is just so stinking charming and adorable. I love it. It's got the 3 kids, and their father goes away. They don't know why, and they have to move to the country. And we just got past the part where mom got sick, and they were like holding up a sign, like they used to wave at the as the train would drive by, and there was always this same man, and they would wave at him. Well, then their mom got sick, and they painted this sign that they needed medicine, and he has brought them not only medicine but food and other things. It's just so sweet. I just am really, really enjoying it. So if you haven't read that one, I highly recommend it. It's a very good one. So we're doing that one now already. My Father's Dragon. Recently, I had lost my voice, so I couldn't do the kids read aloud, but I wanted to have them still reading something, and I didn't want them. We were reading actually this book right there, okay? Snow and Rose, and super adorable little story, but my oldest wanted to read that book as well, and she had not finished, or she hadn't read it yet, but she was going to be doing bedtime story with my little ones. So I went and found her another book that she could kind of get through quickly with them, without giving away the ending of this one, because she was planning to read that one, and we were literally at the very end, so it would have given it all away. So she read aloud to them My Father's Dragon, the first one. It is a trilogy, so I would like to complete the trilogy for them, but they really enjoyed it. That's a fun one too, and again, dragons, so super fun. So that is 25, right? Yeah, that's about 25 if you count like the Paddington is 3 and the Thornton Burgess is 6. And I'm actually going to also add Mary Poppins because it was on that thrift books deal, and I just went ahead and picked it up. So we'll add that one as well. Those are the chapter books I'm going to do, or try to do, this year with this age group. And again, I know it sounds like a ton of books, but we read about 5 days a week for an hour, 30 minutes to an hour in the evening right before bed. So I don't think it'll be a hard time to get through them, but I'll let you know at the end of the school year. And then I have some picture books. And the picture books, like I said, are directly related to our history studies. And they're also ones that not only were recommended, but also were available at our library. So some of the ones that I saw that were recommended, like through our history program, we do Mystery of History, and some of them that were available in the past were not available at my library, and so we weren't able to get to them. So I did the reverse, like I said, and we just started looking there. So this list has 14. We'll see what we get to, but the first one, I have them over here on my laptop. Okay, but the first one is The Kitchen Knight. This is by Margaret Hodges. It's a story of King Arthur. I'm excited for this one because there's actually 3 books, I think, in my list by Margaret Hodges, and she has such a good writing style, and also the illustrations are super, super great. So I am excited for this, but it is like the Knights of the Round Table and King Arthur, that kind of stuff. The next one is The Hawk of the Castle, a story of medieval falconry. It just sounds interesting, but I did look up on Amazon and found some previews, and again, the illustrations just so draw you in. So I am totally excited about that, and several of these will probably be on my 4th graders reading list for him to read independently, because there's nothing wrong with keeping those picture books, especially the ones like this, the living books that are just so rich, with those bigger kids, and having them read them as well, because there's so much to them as well. So perfect for this time period. So we'll probably add a lot of these to there, but a beautiful story. And then the next one is The Knight and the Dragon. This is by Tommy de Paula, famous author, but a funny book. It says a bumbling knight meets a clumsy dragon in a duel with an ending you'll never forget. So I am excited for that one. It's going to be adorable and cute. And many of these actually also are available on YouTube, like where somebody has found them and read them aloud. So that may be an option as well if you can't find these at your library. Okay, the next one I have is called Tom Thumb, specifically the one by author George Sullivan and Richard Jesse Watson as retold and illustrated, specifically that version with Watson. And just the cover alone kind of reminds you of the Tale of Despero. You've got the little mouse, they've got the little guy, Tom Thumb, on him, and he's got his sword, like in Tale of Despero, he had his sword. It just brings me a lot. I just really feel like the two kind of remind each other, or remind me of them. So we're going to try this one. We'll see. I think it's going to be super charming and adorable. And again, not quite the right time period, but the sword and the adventure kind of fits the same theme. So we're going to go with it. The next one is Cowardly Clyde. It's by Bill Peet. You've got a horse and his knight, and the horse is Clyde, and he is a coward, but he has to overcome that. I think it will be a good one, talking about bravery and overcoming things that we may be afraid of, and that would be so appropriate for this age group as well. And then again, Bill Peet's just such a well-known and well-acclaimed author that I think it's going to be a great fit. The next one, again by Margaret Hodges, is St. George and the Dragon. This one I actually do own, but it is somewhere in storage, so we'll be using the library copy. But I am excited for this one, again, with the beautiful illustrations and the adventure and the story and the princess and the knight. I think it's going to be a fun one to add in. We may do all three that are by her. The next one is also by her, and it is Merlin and the Making of the King. We may do all three kind of back to back, like in a series almost. And again, Merlin the magician watches over the young King Arthur, while the nefarious witch Morgan Le Fay and the traitor Mordred plot Arthur's demise. 3 Arthurian tales, 32 pages, so I think it's going to be really good. My older girls have enjoyed watching the Merlin series on TV, and so this is all just going to kind of relate, and I think it's going to make for a fun school year. The next one is King Midas and the Golden Touch, kind of a old classic about the king who's greedy and has to learn a lesson about not being greedy, because everything he wants to touch, he wants it to be gold, and then he learns why that may not be such a good idea to have everything you want. And so I'm excited for that. I love stories like living books that teach us lessons and have those morals, so that's a good one. The next, I have two more kind of classics. Puss in Boots is one. One of my twins, my male twin, is super interested in Puss in Boots. He likes the story, and I haven't really found a great movie version. I wasn't really impressed with, we've watched 2 now, and I wasn't really impressed with them. The newer one, and then there was an older one we watched. And not really impressed, but he still loves the stories, so we are going to try and find a good version of that. And I saw there were some at our library. And the other one is Pied Piper. We just watched, the little community that we live in did the children's play of that, had it edited a little bit. I know it's got some morbid things at the ending, but we will try to probably find a good copy of that and read it as well. Then we also have King Bidgood's in the Bathtub. Super funny, kind of a lighthearted story about a king who doesn't want to get out of the bathtub. Kind of fun. Oh, I wrote down the Circumference series because I own this series, and it was actually given to us from my in-laws years ago, and we haven't actually read through it. But I think it'll be totally appropriate for this time period. However, the concepts may be a bit over their head, and so I'll probably have my older kids read it as well. But I think it'll be still fun for them. So we'll go through that. Then we have, so I guess it's actually, yeah, that's right. And then the next one is Clown of God. I read this, years ago when my oldest was very small, and I just remember it really touching our heart. It's basically the juggler who juggles for the king, and kind of his story. It has a really heart-touching story, and it's by Tommy DePaula, and it's just really well done. And so we're going to do that one. And the last one I have for this age group is Chanticleer and the Fox. You've got the king of the barnyard, the big rooster, and the fox gets him and he has to save himself. And so I think it's going to be just a fun story for that time period. Barbara Cooney, well known, Geoffrey Chaucer. I think it'll be a good one for us. So that wraps up the reading list for my Form 1 kiddos, my little bitty ones, some picture books, some chapter books. I hope this has given you some great recommendations and some like jumping off point to take off and things to read with your own kiddos this school year if you're studying the same time period, or even if you're not, because some of these can go anytime. But anyway, stay tuned. I'm going to be telling you guys my 4th graders reading list, my 6th grader, my 7th grader, and my 9th grader, and they will get progressively more challenging. Some are girls, some are boys, so some will lean more towards girl interest or boy interest, but they'll all kind of be a similar thing with the time period and such. So stay tuned, and those will be coming soon. For now, I'll catch you guys next time.